Welcome to Tech This Way.
Alright, anyway. Hi, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so, I'm trying to figure out how we got connected. Was it just a message out of the blue?
I think I've always heard of you. No, not I think. I've always heard of you.
Okay.
I always know of you, and I think we have mutual friends in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
People who,
Okay.
and if I'm not mistaken, we did try to work with Etika or Maybank a few years back for the CSR under Girls in Tech Malaysia.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Nadira?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, Nadira Yusuf. So she's a
What's that
friend and
baby
a client.
not baby, the...
Impact for Humanity, is it?
No, her current company...
Oh, Kido Care.
Kido Care, that's right.
Yeah,
not
so
babies,
she
Kido. Are you going to be using her services?
I think I will definitely, but and on top of that they are a client. Kido Care is a PR client of ours.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go a little bit about your own history lah. As far back as you want.
Can. It's actually a very interesting story.
Huh.
Because iOli Communications was born out of the entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Okay.
I have always
First
been...
of all, I was a bit confused with the name.
iOli.
iOli,
So
okay.
it's like iPhone, iOS, iOli.
Okay.
It is a combination of my children's names. It's Isaac,
Okay.
Olivia. When it started, I had them. Now I have soon to be 4. I have 3 and soon to be 4. So yeah, the letters came from their name
Okay.
as combination. I've always been a comms practitioner. So I've been working with a few agencies, creative agencies, PR agencies, combined agencies. In 2015, right after I gave birth to my second child, I was having a tough time as a working mother. Working in an agency with a newborn is not easy, and I think all
to do
the
anything with a newborn.
to do
isn't it?
anything actually,
Yeah.
but to work for an agency, the kind of lifestyle we agency people have was almost impossible. So I resigned. I thought I wanted to do something else. I did something else for a bit. Money was a bit tough because I've always been earning good bucks from working with agency. And Nadira, who I met when I was still with another agency, Magic. So when Magic was first...
So you were with Magic?
No, I was with the agency who serviced Magic.
Oh, Service Magic,
So
okay.
when MOF started Magic under the former KSP, I was among the servicing team for Magic.
Okay.
So I met Nadira there during grade 2014, the first grade
Okay.
in Magic. I met her, we get acquainted, and then after that in 2015 when I was doing something else, I met her at an event. Then she asked me, hey, you still do PR? I said, yes, I can, because I've always been a PR person, kan?
Okay.
And then she said, hey, you know what, I have this project that's happening soon. I really need PR.
Right.
Can you do? Can. I said, can. Didn't even know how to build people, that time, because I was not born as an entrepreneur. And then I got on board. Then only I realized it was for one AES.
I see.
It was crazy.
That was a big one.
It was one of the biggest gigs
Yeah.
I've ever done. Actually, it was the biggest.
Yeah.
It was a 7-day satellite events, 3 locations. The PR exercises, the media relations was massive. It was crazy. So that was my first gig. And I
Okay.
was alone, a freelancer.
Wow.
I had help from my former employee when I was working for another agency. And then after that, I thought, boleh buat duit ni, And the people that I met during 1AS started contacting me. Friends from Cradle, from Magic, MDAT, so many friends from the
I wonder if we
ecosystem.
met during one AES.
Should be lah.
Kan?
Definitely.
Because I was, at that time based in Etika Twin Towers.
I see. So definitely lah. And we launched, the soft launch was at the Twin Tower, at
Etika Twins.
Etika Twins.
Yeah.
that was 2 months before 1AS, the actual date. So definitely met lah.
Yeah.
That's why I thought that.
Huh,
I definitely know you. It's just that we never really refreshed the.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take a break from your history a little bit,
Yeah.
and do a bit of definition, right? Because you're jumping between comms and marketing and PR, right?
Yeah.
For me, it was like, okay, I thought PR was always crisis, send somebody there to recover, right? And marketing and comms.
Correct.
So what is the
Okay.
technical definition of
This is
between
very.
the three?
This is a topic that I really like. I like the most actually.
We've got time.
Those were the days
Huh.
when the marketing people, creative and advertising people, PR people were so adamant at drawing a line between marketing, creative advertising, and PR. Okay. And I came from that generation.
Okay.
But today, we can't afford to have those lines anymore.
So what were those lines before?
So marketing is definitely marketing.
Right.
Okay. Creative advertising is creative advertising.
Which you, as a service to marketing lah.
As a service, it's a paid version of marketing where you actually buy slots, spots, airtime, billboards and all that. And the people who are in this line or this type of agency need to creatively come up with contents, materials, collaterals for their clients.
Okay.
Marketing is the usual lah, the traditional ones where it can be as simple as tabu flyers, road shows,
Campaigns and
ground
things like that. Okay.
activations and all
Right,
that,
right.
right? And then there is PR. So for PR, those days it was majorly focused on media relations. So
Yes.
when you say PR, it must be media-centric activities.
So when you have a press release, send the PR.
Press
thing.
release, to have an appearance on TV, radio, to do a press conference, anything that has to do with media.
Okay.
And then today, we still fall back to those three pillars. But what we do is called integrated communications. So that's
Okay.
why we sort of changed to, instead of PR, is more, the word that we use is communications.
Right.
Because when you say communications, it integrates those three pillars that I mentioned. Especially now, the fact that we live in an era of social media. Then there is that
So-
another one, digital marketing.
Correct. So is that PR? Is that marketing? Right.
Yeah.
Is it
So
it's kind of
today we always, if we are to educate someone, the word PR is here, sitting as an umbrella.
Okay.
And then under PR, there is all those branches of things depending on what the client wants.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there was also, okay, so I guess when I look at PR, there's two views. One is from an organization standpoint internally, they have a PR department.
Corporate comms,
Corporate
usually
comms,
that's
right,
the term
corporate
used,
comms.
yeah.
And then externally as a service provider, then you have your PR service
PR agencies
agencies.
providing the
Okay.
PR services for organizations.
Okay, so I guess these two worlds work together lah. Very closely.
They work really closely together, that's right.
Okay, so now let's go back to your history. Now that I understand what you mean. So 1AES, your biggest project ever.
Yeah.
This was 2015.
End of 2015. And then after that, people started contacting us. Then we thought, okay lah, buat press release, do press conference here and there a bit. And then it somehow became a business. But before that actually, so when AS was over, needed to get the payment. They couldn't pay to Yan, right? So
Right.
they needed to pay to a business entity.
Yeah.
So I remember that day when I was like, oh, okay, what to do? Don't know what to do. Don't know head and tail and all that. And the payment master was asking us, you go to SSM lah, KL Central, just register something. So I did. I registered something under enterprise. It was what, 80 ringgit, 7 something ringgit.
Yeah, just
I
Off
can't
the
remember.
shelf kind of
Yeah.
company, yeah.
And I used iOli because I had another line, a nursing-friendly corporate attire line for working mothers that was called iOli Malaysia. So I just pick up that word iOli and I turn it into iOli PR agency.
Oh, okay.
And that was
And
the
it was
beginning.
you solo mio lah at that time.
I was solo, yeah. And then the other, there was Anis. Anis was following me around, and so happened she was with MOF. Then her contract ended. She was not a full time. She was a contract servant. And then she joined me without salary. We were working from Starbucks Jaya 1 all the time. Interviewed people from Starbucks Jaya 1. the young talents refused to work for someone without office. So it was so difficult to get talents to join us. Eventually, we got another person and we grew a little bit. After a few projects, retainer clients, we got a small office in Filio Damansara. And the rest is history. And then we became a Sdn Bhd not too long after that, due to a requirement for a tender and for a job. And today, Alhamdulillah, we are doing really well, I must say, compared to some of our friends in the industry.
Right. How big are you guys now?
So we've got 9 full-time consultants, and we've got other freelancers. We've got a pool of freelancers, especially for the writers who work from remotely from wherever they are. And then we have admin and the back end team.
So it sounds like it grew quite organically, right? Again, so one AES, okay, like it was pre-iOli. Say iOli, sorry, it was pre-iOli. Then when you got iOli, did you have a vision of the kind of customers you wanted? Or was it just like, well, there's a job, I go for it kind of thing? How has it evolved?
No vision, no mission. Today, I am one of the mentors actually trying to grow a few aspiring entrepreneurs. But to think back, goodness, I didn't have anything. I seriously didn't know how to run a business. I didn't even know what to charge, how to bill people.
Right.
I didn't even know that I needed bookkeeping. It was compulsory for me to do all
your annual
that.
audits and things?
No, nothing. And well, my husband was working somewhere else then, and then I forced him to leave his other job to join me 2 years in, because at that time we were doing okay already, so that he can help me look after all these aspects of business.
Right.
Yeah. So, but to be completely honest, I was so clueless. I had zero knowledge on how to run a business. I got lucky because the services that we provided to clients were great and amazing. People keep coming back to us, keep making
it's like
money.
word of mouth kind of.
Word of mouth.
Right.
Actually, it's a lot of word of mouth for us.
So what kind of customers do you service?
Well, we service all type of customers. So we have a very interesting range of clientele. So we've got ministries. We've been servicing ministries, the government ministries, or the government agencies, or the corporate sectors. From the corporate sectors, we have hospital, we have school, we've got fashion line. We have quite a bit of everything. But throughout the years, somehow because people have heard of us and the startup ecosystem have sort of accepted, or rather learn about what PR can do for them, because many startups, they want to appear pretty in front of VCs, the money people, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing that pop up on their mind is probably media appearances and all that. And due to that nature, many of our clients are also startups.
Okay.
Yeah, today. We do still have the corporate and the ministry, the government people are, but a big portion of the clientele are startups.
Okay. I'm surprised actually, because I didn't realize our startups here are so sophisticated to know that, I need a PR agency, right?
Some good ones.
Okay.
And they're very educated, they're very well informed about how can they leverage on the power of PR to actually get their desired end results, especially the comm schools.
So how can they leverage on the power of PR? So here I am, a new startup, right? My business model also tak jalan lagi. I'm not even collecting revenue. At which stage of a startup would you say, okay, you now should have some PR work with them?
So I have to be really direct here. Startups should only explore PR exercises, or should only come to the PR people when their house is in order. Yeah.
Okay.
So based on that, so when we say getting your house in order, it can be as simple as the website must be properly the materials on your website must be properly curated and approved. Not like many of the organizations don't say startup lah. In their flyers say something else, website say something else. company profile says something else. Verbally, the spokesperson says something else. So that is
the
complete inconsistencies, right? So getting their house in order can be as simple as the websites, the write-up, everything is in order. Secondly, their social media. Social media, though not many people highlight this, their social media must be ready to actually open their door to the media out there, to the publishing industry. If social media doesn't even have proper contents, consistent contents that actually paint a good picture of who they are, what they do, what kind of services, products do they have or provide, then they are not ready. And I think if I can give another example is the spokesperson, the face who will be representing the brand. Is the spokesperson ready? Have they decided among the two founders who is a spokesperson for the brand? Okay. And once they have decided, is she or he ready? Because in order for you to explore the PR exercise, that spokesperson at least should have some profiling done before lah. You know, he or she has spoken at a summit or at a podcast or somewhere before. Should a media Google Yan Lim as a spokesperson? Who is Yan Lim? Did she just graduate fresh from a college and founded a startup? Does she have an impressive background? So these are the things that we PR people really care about.
Okay.
Other people might debate and say it's not important, but for us, if you want to embark into the journey of PR and use PR, leverage PR to actually grow, then these are a few things that you need to get done and be ready in the aspect of getting the house in order.
Okay, so do you help to get the house in order, or do you wait until they're kind of settled before you jump in?
Some of them that we've worked with, if we have trust in them, when we have trust in them, we know that the business model is solid, the spokespersons are easily trained, media trained. If we see that kind of value from the beginning, even though they are new, then we can work with them to get them ready. In another situation, we would prefer that they get their house in order first.
That they have some idea of... not just idea, but they actually have a bit more stability lah.
Yeah, that's correct. Because we have actually tried in the past, we have actually tried working with some of them who said, tak apa, we are very gung ho about what we are doing and all that, and we can definitely get things in order within the next few months. So we trusted them and worked with them. So there were cases in the past that, you know, when they are not ready, it led to another problem. We PR people needed to constantly educate them about PR. So then it will be another problem. They don't towards the middle of the engagement, they started questioning, so what is the value of PR? What is the value of PR? How come it's not increasing my sales? So usually sales is always the question that they ask lah. And it will lead to that. And it will be difficult because it's difficult for us to really work with them, work together as a team to really achieve their desired end results, if they are not sure whether they believe in the power of PR or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the PR comes after the companies have established their brands and the product already lah.
Correct.
Do you
Ideally
actually help them ideate that as well? So let's say I'm a totally new startup, and then say, hey, Yan, what color should my company be? You know, there's this kind of branding kind of question. Do you help that with them, or actually that's something you work with?
We can help by connecting them with the right people.
Okay.
Because branding is not our thing.
Right.
We don't provide branding consultancies.
So it's the PR of the companies that's already have their branding established.
Yeah.
And all that. Okay.
Usually, they will have their own brand identities ready, all the donation ready and all that. Then only they come to PR lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not much actually. Usually those are the things that are supposed to be done by them. But we also understand that many of them, they didn't see that they needed to do that. So they were very busy raising funds and all that. So we do actually work with some of them to actually get there. And when we get there, then the PR exercise can be kick off.
Okay. Then back to your question just now, right? Where some companies would actually question, so why do we need PR? So why do I need PR? So here I am as a startup, right? So okay, like a bit more lah, right? Maybe 2 years down the road, I've got some traction, business is doing okay. I've got my posts, my social media posting and all that, right? Things are okay. Okay lah, I've got my team doing the marketing and socializing already. So why would I need somebody like you to come in?
Typically, a startup will see the value of PR or will see the need for PR when there are a few situations. First, when they are trying to penetrate into a new market.
Okay.
They are trying to grow into a neighborhood country, an example.
Right.
Okay.
So let's say I'm here, I want to go to Philippines.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Or two, if they really need to raise funds and get attention from a VC or investor, or just want to raise funds. So they want visibility. Because the thing about raising funds, visibility isn't enough. You need to actually enhance your credibility, build the trust.
So what would be different if they had done it themselves? Okay, so let's take the first example, right? So I want to go to Philippines.
Yeah.
So why do I need PR? I can just send my team over, we'll go check it out, do the similar marketing branding exercise in Philippines.
Okay,
right?
You can do that. You can do that, but usually a traditional marketing exercise is just traditional marketing exercise, correct? So you actually would engage with your stakeholders, clients, correct? But people who would see the value of PR are the people who see the need to target the larger scale of their audience by leveraging on the media. Okay. One, media. So that means they want to appear on a local TV station in Philippines, an example.
Right.
Okay. Or they want to appear in a specific section of a specific newspaper that they know is being read by the Minister of Economic affairs in that country because they're trying to collaborate with that ministry or with that organization. So that is very specific lah. This is a very ideal situation already. But most of the time is when they it's as simple as whatever that they can do via marketing can only reach very niche audience or market, and it takes a long time. While when they allow us PR to help them to achieve that through media by leveraging on the power of media, then it can actually speed up their process.
So that strategy, is that something that you help them with? So here I am, and I want to go to Philippines. I go, hey, Yan, what should I do? How do I get out there, right? Or do I tell you, okay, I want to appear in, it seems like, this newspaper is good there, and then please put me on.
As an integrated comms, we actually plan and strategize with them.
Okay.
So we are not just doers or executors. We don't execute and implement things. Execution and implementation, usually those were the days when you work with an organization who really terror already. They have really good corporate comms and all that. In our situation now in iOli or even in Malaysia, PR agencies need to do quite a bit of everything. From really sitting down, the minute they say that they share their want to go into a new market, an example, or to launch a new product, don't say penetration lah, launch a new product, then we will come in straight away and we will see how we can fit in PR exercises into their existing marketing plan if they have. If they don't have, then we will strategize it for them and advise them to do that. Business development and marketing. If they don't have a team yet, we will ask them, you have money or not to actually engage a marketing exec, 2 of them or whatever, to actually take care of the in-house part, where we from the outside will help you achieve this and execute this and all that. So whatever we do, we always have a plan.
Right.
Very strategic plan. So at iOli, we make sure that we have this comms plan properly planned out and curated based on their own business roadmap. Then we marry it with PR roadmap, and then usually it's quarterly done. So it's like an Excel sheet. What are the proposed activities? What kind of objective will it achieve? Who are the target audience each of the activities will achieve? So it's very prim and proper because we don't we are not the kind of people that should do things blindly. Oh, okay. Oh, you have something to announce this month. Okay lah, let's do press conference. We plan ahead. We curate the press conference. We make sure we tell clients, hey, you know, Q3 is very important for you that you launch something. So then their in-house team will come up with something, and then we will actually inject the PR aspects to that something.
Does PR always include a person, a face with the company, with the brand, or
typically,
is it just
typically it needs a face, because the basic of PR, there is this how do I put it, process flow, where the first phase is always usually about the visibility, creating positive noise about the brand, the organization. So activities that we will propose to actually do that will achieve that objective of creating visibility, creating the positive noise, the first stage. And then as we go into the second stage, is about credibility. Credibility of the organization, of the brand, as well as the credibility of the people helming the company, the spokesperson usually. And then after that stage is over, we are confident we will go into this stage which is called sustenance, that we leverage on emotional attachment. So when we talk about emotional attachment, having a face is super important. This
is
where
that people like to see lah.
Yeah, the face that people like to see, or the stories that people like to hear.
Yeah.
So this is where we really leverage on the stories of the spokesperson quite a bit. On top of other things that we do lah.
Okay.
You know, if say for example, Amran used to be a junior exec here and there, and from there he climbed the corporate ladder, and now the kind of stories that will appeal and entice people to read, and then somehow it will create subsequent emotional attachment to the brand, just because we are talking about Amran as the founder. So it can be the other way around.
Okay, 2 questions before I forget. Number 1 is how do startups especially right, engage with you? Because sounds like this is not one time I've got, like you say, I've got a press conference, can you just arrange for me? But it's kind of a long relationship that you have to build right? And therefore, for a startup who's kind of fairly new, funding's kind of tight, like wow, this seems like a big commitment to engage a PR agency, isn't it?
First of all, we are really not expensive. We are so cheap.
Okay, I mean, cheap is relative lah.
Cheap is relative, and also it sounds bad also. That's
and don't say you bring value to the companies lah. Okay, yeah.
Okay, we usually the way we sell it is you still need a marketing department, 2 people, 2 staff.
Yeah.
Relatively experienced exec would cost you about 3,000 plus salary.
Okay,
correct. And then you need a manager. And then the manager, if you don't have 5,000 plus 6,000, you cannot get a manager lah, right?
So 10K lah, let's say, for marketing.
10K already. So our fee is around that. And
for
we do
what? Per engagement, per month?
Okay. So we can do project basis, and we can do retainer basis. I don't advise people to do project basis unless they really can't afford to commit to retainer every month. Of course, as a business person, I want people to retain me lah, right? So you have to understand that part.
Yeah.
But beyond that, retainer will allow us to really be part of their team. We can strategically think for them, plan for them, with them throughout the year to really achieve what they want to achieve. As compared to when they want to save money, or they can't commit, and they can still engage us per press conference. Yan, I have this announcement that's really newsworthy, I think. I've invested into another startup and blah, blah, blah and all that, and I want media to write about it. So we can either propose them to engage us to write the news release and disseminate it out, which we don't really... I have to put a disclaimer here. Though it's possible, we don't advise. We don't advise that, because we don't know them. We can craft because we are good PR people.
Right.
But the value, the core values, the everything that can be done better if they are a retainer client of ours, it's not there, because we just got engaged yesterday, right?
Yeah.
But we can do lah.
So you would know them, and with that history, you can really...
Yeah, it's a completely different news release, It will be a very different version of news release if it's a project basis and a retainer basis. But we still do. Many of them, they can't afford to retain us, so we do news release dissemination for them. Or we can also say, oh, okay, this is really newsworthy. news release, I'm afraid that I can't really guarantee the pickup because can't force media to pick up. So we will propose a press conference, and they can afford to do a simple press conference event with the media. So we will actually invite the media, and then we prepare the press kits for them, writing everything for them. On the day itself, we manage everything, and then we monitor the coverage. So that is also considered as a project. The other type of project basis is campaign basis. They just want to engage us for 3 months. So we can do that as well. So for 3 months, usually it's not per activity, one activity only. Like it can be a variety, a series of activities throughout the 3 months. The second way is a retainer. Second option, which is the most preferred. It costs less because one press conference will cost them quite a bit already, because we're talking about, it's like an event management and also ensuring that they have media coverage.
How much is a press conference?
So a press conference,
Range.
a good press conference can range from 10,000 to 15,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is to get all the newspapers and TV people.
Yeah,
and whatever
newspapers, online.
Actually, these days,
news.
is there still value for newspapers and
Yes.
TV? There is?
Many people ask whether print media is still relevant. It's still very much relevant. Still very much relevant. The value, in fact, the PR value for print media is still very high.
Okay.
Because we can't assume that everyone reads online, what?
And plus, they have their online version anyway.
Yeah,
right?
and they
So,
can still publish it, duplicate it on their online portal. And the value in print, well, in short, there's a lot of value in print now.
And then radio TV? Is it still
Radio
relevant?
TV also still very relevant, yes. Because now what came out on TV or radio will actually be reposted and reshared by them on their social media, on their website as a podcast. So there's a lot of repetitive or duplication of eyeballs there.
Okay. What about the new stuff like I don't know, YouTube influencers and those kind of programs
So
on YouTube?
That's something we do as well. So remember I mentioned about how PR stands here, and under it is a pillar of marketing, creative, digital marketing and media centric activities. So the digital marketing falls under that. Influencers engagement falls under digital marketing as well.
Okay.
So we at iOli, we work really closely with many KOLs or influencers or Insta
KOL?
famous key opinion leaders. So where their opinion matters lah. Okay, whether they are actually an industry player or leaders or whatever. Or I think it's, to be completely honest, people misuse the term KOL.
Okay.
You are famous on Instagram, suddenly you are a KOL,
KOL.
just because you are influential lah. But the term came from, those were the days, KOL was supposed to be for those people who really matter. We are talking about a political figure. We are talking
The
about
real
an
movers and
industry
shaker
player.
of
That's
the
correct.
industry. Okay.
Yeah, but now it's being used even for Insta famous lah.
Okay.
So we do work with them for a short-term campaign or one-off shout or a long-term campaign. We do that as well for our clients.
Okay. Actually, I wanted to ask the fact that with media these days, the intermediaries, people can go direct, right? You don't need, because people can come up with their own channels, their own podcasts, their
Controlled
own YouTube,
media, they can, yeah.
Right? So why would they even bother going through
a PR agency?
Not PR agency, those channels,
Media.
the media, right? Where they can actually go to their customers directly now, right?
Yep. So that is a major change that happened, especially, and it was escalated during this pandemic, especially. It was already there prior to the pandemic, but during the pandemic, as we are all aware, many of us consume everything online, right? On social media or online portals and all that, websites, YouTube and all that. And because of that, it has escalated this thing that we call citizen journalism, where you as a netizen, as a citizen, as a layman, can actually share opinions, news, information and all that, or can even translate or transform your own social media pages into a vehicle of information. Correct? So you're right when you say that if you can do that, why do you need media and all that? So because I need to be ethical in this, it's actually a combination of both. if you only do on your controlled media without the media or without leveraging on publishing industry, I want to say that the outcome won't be as great as if you combine both. Because an example, I'm going to give you an example. You have all these contents on your controlled media, on your own media and all that. Good. Your audience see that, the chat, social media chatters see that. What if you really specifically want to target this specific person or organization? It can be VC, it can be a collaborator to get partnership or whatever. And that people will actually see more, will actually see that you are a credible brand and organization if only you appear on mainstream media. It makes sense, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if you appear in The Age, you have to be somebody, right? If you get interviewed by Frida Liu on BFM, you have to be somebody, right? So that is the credibility factor that you cannot get if you are only appearing on your own controlled media. Controlled media, what? You can just curate whatever you want. You can invite anyone.
I wonder how, at the end of the day, you're playing to the audience, right? And I wonder how, because the audience now rely more on controlled media for that credibility as opposed to the traditional media, that over time, even that kind of credibility now falls on the more digital channels, right? So, if you're not on YouTube with your own channel, then you're probably not as credible, right? It doesn't matter that you appear on The Edge or not, but what? You don't even have your own Twitter handle, like, what? Kan? I wonder if it's going down that path.
It is. I think that's the reason why the PR industry, we are also adapting to the new norm. New norm is not just the safety SOP, wearing masks and all that. In the new norm that we're talking about is really understand the value of controlled media and see how we, the agency people, can actually add value by leveraging on the controlled media to show that, hey, okay, fine, you believe in the controlled media more than the publishing industry, than the media. How can we come in and add value? Because you will think that you can do yourself. So we've been doing that quite a bit, and we've been even putting together talks among the PR people, the practitioners, the comm practitioners, on how we can do that. We can add value. It's been tough, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah. Two stupid examples. One is, so does it mean that, helping your customers come up with a viral video, is that
one
a
of
thing
the
to
things?
do, right?
Yes. Not stupid at all. That is actually, in fact, on a daily basis, I can count how many people will come to me and say, Yan, I want a content that can make us viral.
Yeah, right? So that's become one. The other one is, I was just thinking about, if I was a new nasi kandar shop, you will have to join, you have to appear on the Nasi Kandar Hunters group on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Something
that's where
like
we
that.
all go and
or
check
on
out, right?
on this Instagram food something, I forgot. Yeah, something like that. That's why when we educate people about PR, it's not always media centric activities. People always think that 10 years ago, maybe yes, but now PR is a combination of ground activations, of viral activations, of influencers engagement, of controlled media content creation and curation. Yeah.
Interesting. So anyway, I wanted to actually then go into a bit more of the juicy details. So now that you've been out there, right? Two questions again. Number one is the differences between the startups that you engage and the more traditional larger companies, right? What are the needs for these two and how different are they? And then the second one, follow up to that, is when you go into the startups, okay, give me some of the good ones and especially the bad ones, the bad PRs that you had to rescue.
So that's crisis management. So those are two different services. First question, the major difference between a larger scale organization versus startup is usually the organization is more educated about what PR can bring to them, the value that PR can bring to them. So our job as PR people gets easier because we don't need to do the educating part, but rather really squeeze our juices and spend our efforts to actually plan, strategize, and execute for them. Startups, whilst for startups, many of them, not all, we need to do both. planning, strategizing, executing, implementing for them, as well as constantly educating them what we are doing, why we are doing what we are doing, and how it will actually help them. Many of them, when they came, they're very shocked. They really want startup, one PR. And usually the most famous line is, I'm trying to raise funds and all that. I'm getting into Series A, blah, 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 and all that. I really want those people to see us as a credible, and I want to tell my stories and all that. That is usually the popular lines lah. But as they go in, pay every month and all that, even though they keep appearing in media or we get activations done for them, especially if the times are tough, they will keep questioning. So what are you guys doing actually? You know,
Right.
Why am I paying you actually? So that is the difference between big organization and startups. The third situation is where the startups have people who used to work for big organizations. That's the best ever. That is actually the
So they bring the
best
experience
recipe.
lah.
Yeah, is even better than working with big organization, because these are the people who have tasted PR before when they were working for big organizations, and they understand that, and they are easier because it's easier for us to deal with them lah. No red tape or whatever. We deal directly with the founder, with the CEO, because they're startup. If we work with organization, there's a corporate comms lah, there's all the corporate affairs department people lah, and 5,000 layers of approval
approvals,
lah.
right?
Yeah, and then everything will be delayed a lot. So the third is always my preferred type of client.
Oh, so that's an interesting advice, right? So for the startups that's listening, so over time you might want to consider getting some of these. So what kind of roles are they in corporates that they need to steal?
Actually, the fact that if they have an experience working, if their former organization has hired a PR agency to do a PR exercise or a campaign or whatever, if they were involved in some of those exercises or projects, that is sufficient already.
So these would be people who are normally in marketing departments,
corporate comms,
corporate
marketing. It can also be BD, the business development people, or from the CEO office.
Right. Who has to deal with a lot of the external comms lah.
That's correct.
Okay. So the startup should, consider getting these guys in as opposed to the more traditional marketing.
That's right.
types
Even
lah.
if they don't plan to go into PR or hire a PR agency, those are the talents that will actually bring amazing set of experience and skills and background, because coming from corporate. Yeah, you can marry it with the startup environment.
Yeah. Actually, just now I left off the second part. You said the first one was when startups wanted to go into new markets and things. The second one was when they want to do fundraising, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you go into that a little bit in terms of,
So
why
that is
that's
the most
important?
famous type of clients, especially among startups. Because they're ready. They've been in the industry for a while already. They have the money already. They know that. Excuse me. They know they can set aside budget for PR agency. So money will not be a problem down the line, because money is always a problem down the line if they force the budget.
Yeah.
So that's why we from the beginning always ask, you have the budget, I'm not desperate for this account. You have to make sure that you have the budget for 1 year. Jangan later you start questioning because you're forcing this budget. So most of the time they have sort of received grants ke, the business dah profitable ke, and all that, so they have the money. So now they want to go into a bigger fundraising exercise, or they want to go into another series, right? So it's very important. Most of the time, I don't know whether you have heard, I'm very sure you have speaking to so many of them. Some of the VCs, they put in the requirements when a startup come to them to raise funds, that they need to submit the media coverages, media clippings during the due diligence or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes,
right? So it happens. It happened to some of our clients recently also from a Singaporean VC. So in that situation, memang very obvious lah. They know that what they need.
Yeah, they need to have had the public facing events
right.
and whatever lah. Okay.
In another situation when VC didn't specifically put that in the requirements, but because they see their friends on Facebook, Facebook is very it is a platform where the startups actually compare themselves to the peers and all that. And when they see other peers have appeared on BFM, on The Age, or even on RTM or Bernama and all that, they want that. They want that. So that's the second thing. Third is, in an ideal situation, it comes back to, remember I talk about enhancing credibility, right? So is the trust on the brand, the organizations, the startup, and the people behind it. And typically people would relate that to having appeared on the media. And I think we have to agree that most of the websites that are out there for startups, they have one specific page for media appearances.
Yeah.
That means they see that, they value that, and they want to shout about that. It's either for their VC or for their stakeholders.
Yeah, you see, normally it's just press articles, that they've appeared on, interviews and all that lah. So I think actually, now that you mentioned it, people do put it as something to not show off, but just to
sell lah.
To sell as well lah.
Yeah.
Kan? No, and then it just occurred to me that PR actually does have a bit of a negative connotation, right? That these are you put in some spin masters lah. Something's happened, and then they've got really good PR to kind of cover it, right? What's your thoughts?
Especially
on
when their house is not in order, and yet they want to do PR, right? Then the PR people also, because you pay me what, so I spin lah. I am your consultant what. So
so this spin thing, right?
It's very bad actually. So that's why for me, I always emphasize on getting them ready before I start any PR exercise. Because you can spin, you can goreng like crazy, say you want to do this,
Have you ever said no to a customer who's tried
I always
something?
do.
Oh, okay.
I always say no. It came from a place where I had to learn the hard way. Yeah,
I want to know more.
Yeah, it happened in the past where, I was a new entrepreneur. I was no longer working for people and providing the services because my boss got retained by the organization. When I started the business, I was the business owner. I needed to pay salaries and all that, so I was desperate lah. You need money, what you need to pay. So people come, whatever they are, whoever they are, also be took in the early days. Well, it wasn't pleasant. I think there was one or two where we really goreng and all that, and then people found out that was
not true.
That was not true.
Although, just on that lah, I'm sure you wouldn't lie.
It wasn't a lie,
right,
but rather the client said that they are about to achieve so and so.
Right.
An example, they already have a partner to penetrate into Indonesian market in Q2. An example, a very very solid plan and everything. So we got all the reading materials and everything. So we write a news release and all that, and then Q2 or Q3 came. That didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, an example, right? So media start questioning. And then after that, it ruins our reputation as a PR agency. So that is an example lah. So it wasn't pleasant, it's bad. We memang ethically, we cannot say things that are not true.
Yeah.
It's just that sometimes clients are so confident, and they are our client what? They came to us, confirm one, got partner already, got office already
You
and
just
all
need to
that.
tell the world.
Yeah, or another example is I've managed to raise these funds and all that. Wow, a lot of funds and all that. But in reality, it's not true because it's also for us, the PR, we don't have the rights to ask for documentation from them. We have to trust them.
Yeah.
We
You
just
have to trust your
them.
customers. Yeah.
They are our clients after all, right? But it's not often lah. People don't. I think now we don't face that anymore. But because of that lesson, I have learned to say no to people that I'm not confident. Either not confident with their credibility, whether they can achieve what they claim they can achieve, or not confident that I can actually give them the deliverables. That means if I feel like not trying to sound condescending or what, or patronize people, but I can tell if they are newsworthy or not. Whether the spokesperson is not people won't actually find her charming, him charming or whatever. Cannot talk at all in front of people. It will make my team's job very difficult. I will say no also.
Right. But have you had to, in that example, tell the, I don't know, founder, whatever, actually, your face not so good, but then your co-founder is better. Can we use him or her instead? Have you had
Not that way, but I'm a PR person. I know how to phrase things nicely.
Right, I understand, yeah.
Yeah.
But
so,
in short, yeah, you
yes.
had to say, maybe you're not so, the lighting is not good for you. Right? Then.
Now it's easy. Last time I used to find it difficult to say that. Now it's easy. You know the Korean series Startup?
No.
The one that was so popular a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
Startup or startups? Well, it's about the startup ecosystem in Korea lah. So they have somewhat their own Silicon Valley and all that. So the main character, he is not a spokesperson worthy. He's not a CEO worthy. So he was told off by his VC. You cannot be the CEO. You have to hire a new CEO because blah 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 and all that. So now I use that as an example. So it's so much easier. Yeah.
Never to understand lah.
Yeah.
What would be?
It's true though. It's
it
true.
Is, right?
Yeah.
Although, what happened to authenticity then? Shouldn't the public want to see this geek is the true face of this company, and I can't speak to save his nuts, but that's him. There's this authentic.
Then we have to work together to make sure that at least he is trained enough when he needs to speak in front of the media lah.
Right.
We have that as well. Of course, it's just that sometimes I'm also like, I want things to be easier a bit lah, right?
Yeah,
if I come across a client, wow, the spokesperson is so good already, he's media trained and can talk charming, pretty some more. So
makes life easier for you.
Life easier. And the background is so impressive some more. It's easy lah for us, right? Because now we are in a place where we can say no, right?
Right.
Before they engage us.
Okay.
So not trying to isolate. We do have spokespersons, clients, and their spokespersons who were not media trained, who we work really hard to train, and at the end of the engagement turn out to be fantastic speaker, very media friendly. Yeah, we have that as well.
So this media training is something that you guys do as well?
We do only for our PR clients. So we don't provide media training per se. There are companies out there who only provide media trainings. Basically, they work with former veteran journalists to get a perspective from the media and all that, and then they train people a day, half day, or that kind of things. For us, I used to do that, but it takes a lot of effort. It's like a production house, because you need to shoot to show them how they speak in front of camera, that kind of things. And sometimes you need to train a lot of them. So now we focus only on our clients or the politicians. So quite a bit chunk of our income comes from training politicians.
Okay. And doing their PR for them as well?
No, we don't. Some of them we don't do the PR, but we train them one-off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wish more people would see the value in getting media training. Most of them don't. You know lah what they are capable of saying in front of the camera.
Although as a citizen, it's good lah. At least we see the truth lah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but we PR people oh my god, why he just said,
I can imagine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even as general public, you like, what the heck are you
Not
saying?
trying to be lancy or arrogant, but oh my god, takkan your comms people, you have an army of staff.
Yeah.
Put together talking points before appearing in front of the media lah, that kind of things. We do that lah.
Yeah. But I guess coming back to the startups then, so what are the challenges, beyond them not appreciating the value, right? Or they're not gotten their house in order, right? So the ones that actually engage you guys, what are the funny stories that you can share in terms of, oh my god, this PR thing, I can write a book out of this.
I can write many books. A few challenges, I think. One of them is when they don't have a proper team at all. They claim that they are big, they raise funds here, there and all that. They look like they're penetrating into the market and all that. But the truth is they don't have enough manpower. I'm not selling the idea of having a big team in order for you to look successful or be successful. I don't even have a big team, and yet I have a very effective team. But you need to have people to do a few things. And there are people who really don't have manpower, the right manpower to do things. no matter how crazy our ideas are, how fantastic our ideas are, if their in-house team cannot support our ideas, because sometimes we need to require data from them to as simple as to confirm things, review documentations, and if you don't have a proper team, it makes the PR job very difficult. That's the first thing. Second is when they don't do anything else. Just because they hire a PR, they don't do marketing, they don't do business development. Basically, they don't do anything, and they
expect you to do all that for them
and churn out results in terms of marketing. So we are not marketing people. They should come out with an idea of collaborating with people, coming out with a promo and whatever. That should be under their marketing department. We complement it. But if they don't have that, for us, the PR people, how many media out there that we can constantly pitch and secure and interview if there is nothing new to announce about this startup or company, right? There is no substance. The first stage easy lah, the first 3 months, because baru start a PR exercise, so it's very easy. So there's an introduction who the startup ABC is, what they do, how they, whatever. After third month, we also need some form of contents and substance to sell to the media, because we're talking about PR pitch, a free pitch here. We are not doing media buy. We're not buying the airtime or spots with the media. Although, of course, many of our clients, we, as part of our advisory services, we do advise them to set aside money for media buy lah.
Okay, so that's interesting. So from the media side pula, right? So you say media buy, and some are newsworthy enough that the media will want to turn up lah.
Yep.
Right? So I guess for you to arrange that, you must have quite a good network with those guys lah to have that. So, if Amran nak buat PR company lah next week, right? So it's a bit challenging lah if I know is Karam.
If Amran cuma kenal Karam, kenal Johan, not enough lah.
Not enough,
I mean,
so that's one of the
media relations
that you bring lah, right?
Yeah, because if you look at an established PR agency, usually the media relation is one of the big USPs that they will sell. Strong media relations.
Okay.
On top of that, you need to know how to curate contents. At the end of the day, the media, the people from the other side, they are humans too. Every day they constantly squeeze their brain to come out with stories, right? Because their editors want them to. They have deadlines. Crazy deadlines, I don't know how many articles they need to write per day.
Wow.
Yeah, so when we come in on top of the relationship that we have with them, we give them really good contents, then that's how we manage to secure all these PR pitches lah.
Okay. And compared to paid media, just paid media lah, right?
You pay 25,000, dapat half a page and black and white. Whatever you want to put your face there, and your second wife next to you is up to you lah. Yeah.
Okay. And then speaking of other people doing this kind of work, so it's been, now you kind of stumbled into it, right? 5-6 years ago.
I stumbled into the business aspect. I've always been a practitioner my whole life.
But from a business standpoint, were there, I don't know, it sounded pretty easy. You were there, suddenly the customers just keep lining up. Were there no other PR companies out there, or is it, they're just bad, or is it like a new market? What's?
I think there are plenty of clients out there, enough for everyone.
Right.
People say enough rezeki for everyone, right?
Yeah. Okay, I'm not putting it. Of course, you are talented and you bring value lah. But the market for PR companies themselves, was there?
It's quite huge lah. I'm very optimistic. I'm very positive that there are plenty of clients out there.
There's more demand lah still.
There's quite a bit of demand despite whatever that's happening, despite the economic downfall, despite the pandemic and all that. There are still clients. You see, to be I want to, in my effort to really be grateful with what we have today. Throughout the whole year 2020, even though people were like closing shops left and right, we were getting new clients,
Wow.
And some of the clients we didn't even pitch.
Wow. And these are
word of mouth.
Startups, huh?
Word of mouth, or maybe it came from my lobbying effort 2 years ago.
Right.
That kind
So
of things.
finally,
finally they want to do something. And during pandemic, But of course, those are they are in the industry that were positively impacted by pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All these deliveries and
Yeah,
food
logistics
and
and all that.
Yeah. Wow. And I'm assuming that once you have these customers, and especially if they're in a retainer, then they are always all long-term kind of customers lah, right?
Usually is a minimum 1 year, then they keep renewing lah. For retainer, we don't take too many retainers because we want to make sure that the results is good, because there's only so much one consultant can handle, only so many accounts one consultant can handle. So I made a promise to myself, being someone who used to work for people for many years, for 12 years before this, who had to handle 7 accounts at one time.
Right.
So when I started iOli, I made a promise I will never do that to my consultants. Yeah, because the results
so
not
2
good.
and 3 lah.
Maximum 3.
Okay. I had a good question that I kind of forgot now. What were we talking about? Yeah, it was quite a good question I wanted to ask you. It was about competition. Oh yes, competition. So if you have a couple of startups doing exactly the same thing, how do you manage? How do you handle their PR?
Startup, is it?
Yeah, no.
Huh?
So your customers, your client, conflict of interest, right? So you've got, company A, company B. They're both doing exactly the same logistics, right?
For now, we don't actually take in a new account if we already have an exact same thing in our clientele. We don't usually do that. Not because we cannot do, but we are afraid that they feel weird and they don't want it. Because competition, because everything, of course we sign NDA and everything.
Yeah.
Everything is
of course the Chinese
PNC,
walls and all
right?
That internally. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that so far we haven't actually faced that.
Okay.
Memang the minute we already have one example shipment company, so we will not take another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering how, so if I was, Lala Move, right? And I've got like this big stuff that's going to go on, right? And I'll tell you, hang on it, but you've got Grab on the other side also, they might hear. So I guess, you've avoided those conflicts so far.
Yeah, we avoid that lah. We avoid that for because, typically they will not want to engage us. It will not even happen, Amran, because when they are doing the due diligence about us, before engaging us, they will ask. Who's
your customers?
Yeah, who our customers? We don't need to reveal all, but the specific question is, any of my competitors among your customers, your clients or not? Then we can answer. Then they will not engage us.
But with with that limitation, so maybe that's why there's enough business for everybody, right?
Maybe.
Because everybody can only have like one PR company.
That's right. If you have in our ecosystem, if you have about 10 Lala Move type, right?
So you need at least 10 companies to deal them, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting dynamics.
So we all share the rezeki together, what?
Yeah. That's true. Hey, okay lah. So it's over an hour already. I guess the question then is moving forward for you lah, right? So 5-6 years already, right? You made your husband quit all and then join you. So the team is growing. So what next for iOli?
In the short, we are actually launching a new service lah. So for now, it's very premature to share too much, but we are exploring a little bit more of creative communications, contents curation and creation for our clients and new clients.
Okay.
The one that you asked earlier, controlled media. Right. So how are
do the viral video for people lah?
Something like that. Because if not, we cannot survive. What if people are all leaning towards that kind of visibility? Then we have to adapt and run with the crowd lah.
I mean, that's where the eyeballs are, right? So you need to.
That's correct. So we are forming a team very soon to actually start introducing that to our existing clients first. Then after that, we will grow that team lah.
Cool. Okay, I guess final thoughts. if for all the startups out there and the tech companies out there? on
Actually, I was supposed to wish all my sisters and women out there happy
PR? Oh, that's
International
true,
Women's Day is
yes.
today.
Yes.
You see, so I
International
thought I
Women's Day.
should take this opportunity to, on this very special day that was specially created for us women, to celebrate our social, our economy, our cultural and political achievements, right? As women, a very happy International Women's Day.
Yes, happy
Yeah.
International Women's Day.
Yeah, so that's today. I wanted to do that earlier, and it's just that I got into this very nice conversation with you and forgot. But in terms of my last thought for the startups out there, PR can really help you grow, and we're not talking about increasing sales. We're talking about growth in many aspects of business. But in order for you, before you explore PR, get your house in order first lah. So that is my advice. As a business owner, I want all the accounts, right? Because they pay us. But there's no point of getting a client if 2 months after then they start questioning, and the educating work is actually a very tiring job for PR people. Yeah.
Okay.
And all the best. It's
Well,
going to be a
thank
better
you.
year this year.
I hope
right?
so. It feels like it, right?
I feel like, yeah.
Let's hope we can travel for Raya and for,
Raya soon. So
Yeah.
let's hope interstate travel will be
I hope so.
lifted lah.
Okay, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
we'll connect again.
Yeah,
hopefully
I
come
hope
back
so.
in a couple of months and then see how the whole thing is.
Yeah, we can do that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.